I would advise you all to slow down your metabolism a little bit during my sequence. And imagine you're watching maybe a montage sequence in a film, but it's slow motion. I'm what's called an open field poet. And in my reading, I will try to approximate the spacing on the page in my poems. But don't worry, I won't slow it down too much. But to just show you the way that my pieces appear on the page, you know, I sort of compose them as if the words are bubbles on the surface of silence. So sort of keep that in mind as I'm doing these. I'm going to start with a short piece that was published in 2007, and it should be self-explanatory. It's called Marion, Texas. And I would guess it's probably 101 degrees today in Marion, Texas. So why don't you just sort of imagine the heat, and that will be part of the experience. Marion, Texas. A train whistle, deep, textured, prolonged, spreading and melting across the west side of Marion, like cheap yellow oleomargarine on burned day-old bread, calling me out of my stupor. Town full of metal buildings, once thought temporary, different colors of paint having faded into a dull sameness, but lacking any initiative to move once settled. Porn rentals steeped with the flavor of yesterday's fried chicken under the convenience store counter. High school pregnancies under the radar. Major brand beer purchased in 24 packs. The ruling class won't even live here, supervising their properties and investments, their tenants and managers and gophers from the comfort of air-conditioned San Antonio suburbs, while we bake in our mobile homes and labor in our metal workplace furnaces, crusts hardening and thickening until we become ash, to be scattered, to be liberated by some future wind from the east. Next up, we have Led Along. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the jargon of horse racing, but a $1,500 claiming race is about as low as you can go in the horse racing world. It would be kind of like the first race on a weeknight at Mountaineer. You can't even get a decent used car for $1,500. So that'll give you an idea about the kind of horse you could claim. And I use that image in the beginning of this piece. And I've done a number of pieces where I kind of put myself into the consciousness of an animal. I've done ones with dogs and horses, and part of this has kind of got one foot in the horse consciousness, since I feel that horse racing is kind of a metaphor for many things. This one is called Led Along. And anyone who's a fan of the great Lightnin' Hopkins will recognize the refrain I use at the beginning and the end. In the midst of the mud season, nearing the home stretch of this ragged $1,500 claiming race they've entered me in, where the track employees outnumber the customers, the vision blurs, softening the edges. tempering the judgments, laying sheets of metallic blue to cushion my step. I tried to tell Mr. Charlie that his mill was burning down, but although I think in the language of the colonizers, I don't speak it, and I'm not heard. On the sidelines with stopwatches and bottled water close at hand, self-proclaimed spiritual leaders argue over who owns the winter solstice, standing like scarecrows in a lightning storm waiting to be struck, like party crashers waiting to be ejected and then filming their ejection and talking it up until a market is created and then selling the footage to the highest bidder with an agenda. Freeze-dried martyrs waiting to be pissed on so they can come back to life, while the silent observer struggles to do no harm. Easy to say, but not easy to do. Researchers at Brigham Young University claim our island will have eroded before I start collecting Social Security. Solids dissolving into rivers and streams and wells, carried off and away. More and more days and weeks and months spent filling the cracks in the virtual Akashic record with superglue, creating discographies of labels whose releases don't survive, arguing among ourselves about what might have been, while the sediment builds up in the water pipes, the plaque in the veins. Clammy from the climate of fear, whether at a petting party or a poker game. I could offer my date only Belgian popcorn and horsemeat lasagna recalled in the UK, but super bonus buy this week at my local Winn-Dixie, where the employees, allegedly, are locked in and working off the clock, and the company donates and publicizes its donation to the Little League and the art gallery, where people wearing berets remind me that their art is transgressive. But not to workers' health care or pensions. Polish the car, but don't change the oil. My employers want me to start carrying a weapon on the job. Were I 20 again and cruising on macho fumes, I might take that chance, and the extra money that's provided. But these hands, which I cannot make into a fist, and these fingers, which I cannot fully bend, will guarantee I lose any shootout. More guns. That's the answer to a question we did not ask. Pumping up us horses with frog juice cocktails to get us through the race. Mr. Charlie, don't you know your mill is burning down?